Welcome back to Debaters Season 2, a debate game show for high school students here in Vietnam. Produced and broadcasted by VTV7, the national educational channel of Vietnam, and British University, Vietnam. I'm your host, Dustin Chevier. Today, this debate is very, very exciting. We have now entered the quarterfinals. Yes, we had 6 debates before, 6 finalists. Quarterfinals are happening now. The teams behind me, very, very fluent in English. They're experienced, they know how the format is, and today the expectations for them are super, super high. And to make it even better, the judges will pick somebody from the quarterfinals to move on. So win or lose, it's very important you guys do the best you possibly can because there will be a wild card that the judges do pick. So keep that in mind. So if you don't do well today, it's going to be problematic. So please, please, A games from all of you. In today's motion, that we regret the rise of choice feminism. Yes, we are discussing feminism, a topic that is widely discussed in Western countries, and I believe it's growing in Vietnam. I will be learning more about that today from our contestants behind me. Without further ado, let me please welcome the contestants.
It's a pretty challenging motion when we have to research a lot about feminism and how it's gonna work in the modern society. So I think that we are pretty well prepared for the upcoming debate, and we hope that we will bring a high quality debate in the quarterfinal.
The motion about regretting the rise of choice feminism is a really vague motion, and it's more relevant in the status quo right now. So the challenge for proposition, which is our team, is that the team has to prove why the rise of choice feminism is harmful to the society, most especially to feminist movement, which lobbies the idea of equality at the same time women's representation or good representation in this status quo. So I believe it's a challenging motion. At the same time, it's a very interesting motion because there are a lot of doors for each team to argue upon.
Throughout the last match, we've been able to learn from the feedbacks by the judges to improve our flexibility with our case, to be able to develop it more throughout the first and second and third speeches. Wow, it is a very interesting and very trendy motion, very relevant to today's issues. I personally believe that since choice feminism isn't quite a very popular ideal within the mainstream feminism, it would be extremely hard to debate.
Because it's like quarterfinal, it's very important for them to reach into the next round. So we prepare for them for 2 things. First is on the ideas, and the second thing is their performance. Because like feminism and feminist movement are extremely important and controversial, so we want them to give the best of their performance on their ideas, and we make sure that they can create change and create some impact when they actually present this kind of idea to everyone on the televisions.
Contestants, I'm gonna walk down here. How are you guys feeling? The quarterfinals.
We have true happiness over there, so yeah, happy.
Okay, so feminism. Is feminism popular in Vietnam?
Yes, I can say.
Okay, is this topic interesting for you guys?
Yes.
Yes.
So interesting.
So interesting. Good. When it's interesting, you have a lot more to discuss and hopefully a bit more passionate about it as well.
Yes.
So let me walk over to the other side. Gentlemen, is this an interesting topic for you guys?
It is quite fascinating. We have discussed quite a lot on this in this tournament, before the tournament, and very possibly after this as well.
Yes, because in Western countries it's widely discussed for many reasons, but for you guys today I'm very curious to hear what you have to say. So thank you. And now we can't have a debate without our lovely judges. So without further ado, let's get started with the first debate. So from the proposition team, Team Chocochips, please welcome Đỗ Phan, Quyền, Jay. To my left, the opposition team, Team THX. Please welcome Do Lei, Han Min. All right, I'm excited. I'm really excited. But I'm gonna start over here with the proposition team. I was told in the casting round that they beat you in the casting round. Is that true?
Yes, in round 2 too.
In round 2?
Yes.
So how do you feel debating them in the quarterfinals?
I feel a bit nervous, but I think I can nail it.
You can nail it. Ooh, I like that. I like that. And over here, since you guys already beat them in the casting round, but now we're in the quarterfinals, do you think you can beat them again?
I know if I perform to my best, I can beat them again. But there's a lot of outside factors in terms of the motion itself has changed quite a bit. And we've had a lot of preparation since then, so it could go either way.
Okay, so for the viewers at home, this debate is more heated than you would actually think. So the first round, you guys are familiar, but you have 3 minutes to deliver your speech. POI is not open whatsoever. Proposition team, you will be going first. Do you guys understand?
Yes.
All right. Let the debate begin.
It's okay to say weak because that's your choice. The opposition here tries to tell us that, but we are here to say no. We are here to regret the rise of choice feminism. There are 2 burdens that the proposition is here to prove. First, the rise of choice feminism has created fundamental harms on women and the feminist movement. Second, without the rise, the world would have been better. We believe that the choice of feminism in many cases are not their free will. There are coercive choices and manipulations due to backgrounds, social standards, etc., media, and the best way to promote the right of women is the second wave feminism, which is to promote women to seek for higher positions in the social ladders. Comparing to the opposition, they celebrate third wave feminism, which sends many ground messages that we are going to prove. Now moving on to our definitions. So what is choice feminism? It welcomes the individual choices of women, such as taking part in sex work, choosing to be a housewife, etc. However, we think that they thought it is their right to choose, but in fact, it is because they are influenced by many factors like social standards, media, which tell them to do so. And what is the rise of choice feminism? Rise means there are more women adapting to it and is actively promoted. The problem is when the adaptation of something, it will lead to inappropriate consequences. There are 2 main points why we regret. First, the rise of choice feminism is actually harmful. Second, it backtracked the feminist movement. Claim 1 being, the rise of choice feminism is not their freedom choice, but they are forced to do so. Therefore, even if their choice resolves the problems, they are still bad choices. Example, sex work. It is about extremely poor working conditions and exploitation to women workers. Why some women did have a choice in pursuing this? A lot of women are forced into doing so because of lack of alternatives, and this choice of working resolves their problem, but it is still a bad choice and it is harmful to them. With this rise of choice feminism does not fulfill the idea of empowerment through freedom of choice. Another example could be of coercive choice, could be the idea of makeup. The rise of choice feminism tells us that women should wear makeup because it's empowering. However, they are unable to recognize that wearing makeup is a product of patriarchal society and it matches the beauty standards. This leads to shaming women who don't shave their body hair, who don't have acne marks, simply don't match the ideal standards. For the impact, the rise of choice feminism brought harm to the sex holder, therefore more than proud to propose.
It is simply outrageous and self-destructive for a movement that stands for women's liberation to restrict their choice of what to do. We do not regret the rise of choice feminism. First of all, some rebuttals for the proposition side. We have not received any sort of mechanism, any sort of alternative that you have to our rise of choice feminism. Well, on our side of the debate, we are still maintaining traditional feminism, how women can still just stand out from the patriarchal society without taking harm onto themselves. we are trying to solve another problem that lies strictly to the third world countries while you're doing nothing for them. Even on your side, you brought up the point that the choice are not being made by themselves, they're being coerced into making that choice. While on your side, because you've not produced any sort of mechanism, you're not creating agency for women either, you're not changing the social situation, they still remain the same. You brought up examples like wearing makeup or women being involved in prostitution. Well, these women in their own society, they're already threatened, they're already intimidated into that job. If you try to push another layer of blame onto them by opposition feminists themselves, by traditional feminists who think that this is what they're doing is bad, you're creating another layer of intimidation onto them, and this will hurt them more instead of helping them in any way. Therefore, we do not think that their argument is legitimate in this debate. In addition, we do not think that they have already established choice feminism, and we agree with it. However, we also have to establish and characterize the rise of choice feminism. It affects most significantly because feminism is only trying to pervade into third world countries, into developing societies, and therefore the effect of this rise is most significant in conservative societies, and they're most touched by this movement. We think that we have two stakeholders in this debate. First of all, women in these societies, especially in the third world, who are having the least rights and who are being the most oppressed in these societies. In addition, we also want to protect the feminist movement. Therefore, we'll bring you two arguments why on our side we have justification for this right and you do not. And on our side, we can protect women and the feminist movement, and you do not either. First of all, on our first argument, we need to take into account three groups of women who are being affected. First of all, women who are already strong, women who are already liberated and living in progressive societies. They can choose to do whatever they want, and of course they will choose to adhere to traditional feminism, so they are out of the question. However, we need also to take into account women who choose to do that way in these progressive, to be adherent to the patriarchal society by their own willing, and women in third world societies who have no choice but they have to do what the men tell them to do. You're disrespecting the choice of women in progressive societies with their choice, and you're excluding and you're trying to create conflict against women in third world societies. You're not defending them at all. You're telling them that they do not belong in the movement because they believe in something that you think is wrong, and therefore you're creating a rift in the feminist movement that cannot be accepted. I'm very proud to oppose.
You guys, thank you. That was a great first debate for the quarterfinals. So first off, thank you for that. I will ask you questions after I hear from the judges, though. Judges, the first debate of the quarterfinals. Uy.
I feel a little bit pity when the case of the prop side today was not very neat, was not very clean. I think that you spent quite some time in there, which result in your argument was a little bit simple. It was not very deeply analyzed, but I got the main idea from it. And I think it's definitely very, very good ideas. I think your team has very good material to work on. Now for the op side, I think the op side today came up with very, very strong rebuttals. And I like the way that you try to rebut it. You try to show me how it is actually you only putting another layer of oppression onto the women. I think that's a very, very spot on rebuttal. Aside from that, I felt like the opposition side should also give me some context, some characterization in order to make your arguments later on become clearer. And I see that missing from the opposition side today. I like the strategy when you brought up, like question for the alternative of the proposition side, which I believe the proposition side should prepare to answer for it in the next turn. Ultimately, I would give my points to the team that I think have done pretty much more contribution. The material was more spot on in this particular case, providing the argument were actually quite, similar to each other. One team has cased it up, one team has good strategy. I would go for the rebuttals that the opposition side gave to me. So my 10 points go for op.
Thank you, Uy. Stuart.
I'll start with the proposition side. I really like the fact that, quite early on in your speech, you outlined the burden of proof that these guys have to take on. And so for me, that kind of sets up the debate in a really strong, clear way. And I'm glad that you did that because it kind of gives us a bit of a clear direction, and it also pushes some pressure onto the other side. I agree with Uyen. I thought the ideas, some of the main components of the ideas were strong, What I'm really looking forward to in kind of the next few rounds with your teammates is them just pushing those ideas and developing them and seeing where they go and talking about the impact of those ideas. So that's what I'm looking forward to. The opposition side, yes, again, similar to Wynn's comment, your rebuttal was good. The one aspect that I'm interested in is this notion of the third world country that you include in your speech. That's definitely something that I want to see develop. At the moment, I'm not 100% sure where it lies in your argument, so I want to see that the clarity of that develop. I do really like the fact that you mentioned that the other team didn't really have a mechanism, and therefore there's no agency for women to actually take control of their lives in a sense, and that's what they're kind of mentioning. Finally, what I think is really good is that you very clearly outlined the stakeholders involved with this. And so, as your first round, to mention the stakeholders is incredibly important. For me, given both sides, in terms of how clearly I see the arguments and which side I think the arguments will develop most strongly from, I'm going to have to give it to the opposition side as well.
Thank you, Stuart. And Hugh?
Thank you guys for opening this quarterfinal round. I actually enjoy, and I think so far of this season, this is the best first round I have witnessed. Yes. So well done on both of you guys. Now, I think I do share similar comments and feedback with the two judges that with the proposition team, it's a very, yes, it's the ideas are still on the basic level and fundamental, but at least it has a clear structure and easy to follow, and you have examples to back it up as well. So I think, and you spend quite a good time to lay out the context in terms of how you define the context of the society nowadays, what leads to the rise of the choice of feminism. Then I think that is the good thing I have to give to you, but I agree with my judges that the ideas are still on a very basic level and it needs further enrichment, and it lacks the complexity. I think that is something that the second debater and the third debater need to look at that in different lanes and more complex lanes as well. But I do like the fact that you highlight a point where you see what are the reasons that lead to the rise of choice mechanism. I think the debate here should also focus on, with the opposition team, I do agree with the judge that you have a very strong rebuttal in terms of, like, say, the other team, they don't have a alternative mechanism, as well as you still maintain the traditional feminism and a layer. But I think you spend too much time on the rebuttals, and when you go to your argument, there's only like 45 seconds left, and that's why you can only name out the three stakeholders, three different groups of women in different societies, and then you kind of like did not have enough time to really push and see like what are the reasoning for each of these groups and how your case will turn out for each of these groups, right? So I think the second debater and third debater need to pick up on that and enrich further. I think the reason why I give my 10 point to one team is because I really want to see you guys really dig into the word, the rise, not just choice feminism. I think one team is giving me more of that underlying reason why we have to look at the rise here instead. So that's why my 10 point go to the proposition team.
Okay. Judges, thank you. Gee, I'm going to start with you. Personally, for being the proposition on this side, I feel like it's slightly harder for you guys. You're disadvantaged, but you got 10 points.
Yeah.
I think you're relieved.
A bit relieved, but still.
Because right now it's a 20-point difference. You know the first round already, things can definitely change. But you did get 10 points, which is significant.
Thank you.
So Min, I think you're quite happy. I saw some of the fist pumps and yes, yes, yes. Secretly, you're doing that. You're happy.
Relieved.
Relieved.
Yeah.
You got 20 points.
Yeah.
So you're winning right now.
Quite honestly, I'm not really confident doing this motion, so getting a lead in the first round is rather important in a match of this stature. So.
It is, especially for the mindset as well. It helps you guys, because you're familiar with how the debates go, and you already know that you can still lose. So Min, Jay, thank you so much. So please go back to your seats. Thank you, you guys. Currently, Chocochips, they have 10 points. To my left, team THX, they have 20 points. We just finished the first round, and both teams know that things can change entirely with the second, third, and final reply speech. We will begin the second debate right after the break.
With this rise of choice feminism, does not fulfill the idea of empowerment through freedom of choice.
If you try to push another layer of blame onto them, you're creating another layer of intimidation onto them, and this will hurt them more instead of helping them in any way.
I feel a little bit pity when the case of the prop side today was not very neat, was not very clean.
So, welcome back to Debaters Season 2. Currently, the proposition team has 10 points. The opposition team has 20 points. We are going to begin the second debate. From Team Chocochips, please welcome Wing Liu Zhang. From the opposition team, Team THX, please welcome Lei Yakhui. Okay, second round. You guys have lots and lots of notes, novels that you're writing like the judges. You are going against the British accent. Are you feeling confident with the British accent?
I think that the accent of a debater is really important, but it also depends on the other factors like content and.
She does have the British accent, also men with the British accent, but it's just a fun way with the debaters, but it doesn't mean anything. But let me come over here. So Jang Oi,
yes.
You're down by 10 points.
Oh, it's okay. Maybe again, or...
All 30 points.
Yes, maybe.
You can do that.
I could.
Oh, you could. We will see, though. We will see. So you guys are already familiar with the second round. You have 4 minutes to deliver your speech. POI is entirely open. Proposition team, you will be going first. Opposition team, you will be going second. You guys understand?
Yes.
Perfect. Let the debate begin.
First, let me remind to you guys what the alternative we bring here today. We encourage women to pursue the ultimate goal in their life and orient them to go for higher position in the society. So let me go to some rebuttal for the opposition side. You say that we are here just to create conflict to the society. But, however, the conflict already existed in the world, and what you do is let them live in the society where they cannot stand up for what they believe to be right, but you do not lead them to pursue for like higher position in the society. And if the women in the world of opposition, they just do what they can, which is not that much, and they will do what men told them, then the society will look down on them, and the prejudice will come because here is the third wall, the prejudice is strong. So let's come to our argument. Why the rise of choice feminism backtrack the feminist movement? Let's come to some important characterization here. Rights a women enjoy right now. It's a product of the collective efforts of the feminist movement. Reproductive rights, employment rights, among others, are a product of the waves of feminism fought for the thousands of women who march and rally on the streets. Hence, the life of women is always tied to the movement, whether or not she like it. So, what the rise of choice feminism done in society just to distance women from the collective because of the narrative that whatever they're doing is their choice. So the rise of choice feminism changed the way we view feminism from a collective standpoint towards an individualistic approach. One, because everything is about freedom of choice and individual empowerment, more and more women become self-interested and are unable to consider the general views of feminist movement. Two, when freedom of choice is the dominant discourse, it weakens the movement because instead of cohering as one, women excuse themselves by saying, I will mind my own choice. So instead of getting more numbers in rallies or in voting policies, the rise of choice feminism has made it harder to make women coalesce together. No thanks. Three, there are choices in the status quo that made it significantly harder to advance women's rights. When more and more women choose to be housewives, it sets the discourse on dismantling the narrative that women shouldn't be content at home to step backwards. So what are the impacts here? First, there are less women who care about the cause for the collective. Two, when there are less women we are unable to vote progressive politicians. We are weak in number. And 3, we are unable to sway more moderates because they see that some women are not affected, so they think that there's nothing wrong. So the rise of choice feminism just weaken the foundation of feminist movement compared to the world that the proposition side brings here today. First, we can ensure that the whole movement fights against the social standard in patriarchal countries. And 2, we care and we consider whether the choice of the women is right or not, and we orient them to choose the right thing, which is higher position in the society. And by that, they can first overcome their background, or even they cannot, at least they try. They climb on the social ladder, and by that, they change how the society look down on them, how the society see them, and that's how we protect the women here. Proud to propose.
We believe that the true happiness only happens when women got their freedom of choice respected. First, some rebuttal. You claim that the number of women that have the same ideas are less in our world. Therefore, your solution is to force them to work together in order to achieve something that they don't really want. But that's not the logic here. Why? First of all, we believe that in our world, we give the woman more choice by giving them the choice feminism, because we give them something that they can consider, they can take things into evaluation. While in the world, what is the proposition world? It's the world where women only have one choice and they didn't even get to evaluate all the contents that they have. So if we force them to follow by one channel, it is going against the initial purpose of the feminism, which to give them a sense of liberals even in their thinking. Therefore, we believe that's worthless. Secondly, talking about the patriarchy problem that the proposition gave up. Okay, so we accept it. So even when our choice feminism reinforced the patriarchy, we still think it is worth it. Why? Because when women support the idea in the choice feminism, they are also understanding the meaning of the other feminist movement, which enhance them that they can also understand and know the ideas of other feminist movement, that they can support the other feminist movement that goes against patriarchy. So we think it's worth it. Now, coming to our second idea is that we believe that our choice feminism in our world had a positive side on all 3 groups of women in our stakeholders. Why? Because let's first go into the contextualization and also a bit of characterization. The women are living in a conservative background. It is where they have conservative parents in a conservative society, and they are also judged by conservative women. What is the case? It is that when women do not follow the trend action, like such as they want to stay at home and do the housework, they are also being valued by the other women, other successful women in the society, because they all only highly value the outwork, the position in the society, but not the contribution of them to the family. So we believe that in this world, women are even being pressed by the world that the woman cannot express themselves, and it will create more of the discrimination between the 2 groups of women. Why is it a problem? It is when they have the discrimination, we believe that they cannot express themselves in order to make feminism as a whole better. So why in our world they are better? Because women in our world, where they choose to do what they want, they are supported by the choice feminism. It means that it gives them more confidence, more belief in themselves. And it also gives the other group of women who are successful, who have high position in a society, to have a more positive look and more understandable look on them. And in our world is where only the women can have the same idea. The core value of feminism is that when they do something, even that it is not like each other, we still towards a core value of feminism and make women more liberals. That's why we think we won the debate.
All right. second round. That was good. I'm very curious to hear what the judges have to say. Because Jang over here, lots of energy, passionate about it. Here, the rebuttals, the remarks. This is getting good. I'm really, really excited. Judges, you.
Now, with the first team, the proposition team, I think when you do your rebuttal for the opposition team's argument, I don't think it's a very strong rebuttal, and I think you kind of know it as well. However, when you go into your arguments, I think now I see a jump from the first debater to the second debater. Your ideas are getting so complicated and so complex with many nuances, and that is what I like when I see the structure. I think there's two things I really want your team to go and dig deep into the third round, because I think that's going to be your strongest argument, which is when you support the rise of choice feminism, it will create a social narrative. That narrative, when it gets out of control, can make the society go from a collective mindset into an individualistic mindset. I think that is a very smart reasoning. So try with the third debater, trying to dig deep into that and see how the rise of choice feminism, when it get out of control, can push society more from collectivism into individualism, and what could be the potential blind spot there. Now going to the opposition team, I do appreciate the effort you try to complement for the first debater by explaining on the situation and characterization of women in the third world country with a conservative background. However, I didn't see quite clearly the cut-off from the first argument and they go to the second argument. Like the second argument of you is a little bit blurry right now. So I think your third debater need to bring up to another level rather than just focus on like just women, and look at the lens in multiple perspectives than just focus on the women, right? So for that particular reason, my 10 point this round go to the proposition team.
All right. Stuart.
For the proposition side, I thought your round was incredibly strong. I do like the way that you have really pushed this past just a group of women in society, and that it's actually at the societal level, and also including notions of how does this affect the politicians and what ramifications does this have as well. So I think pushing that and really putting it beyond kind of the immediate group of people that we may be looking at is a good route for you guys. For the opposition side, I think your rebuttals were strong. Again, for me, like here, I want to see kind of the broader impacts now. I want to start to see at a greater level how is this actually impacting not just this group of people, but a large group of people. For me, therefore, in terms of the direction of the arguments and where I think it can go, my 10 points will go to the proposition side for this round.
Ooh. All right. Uing.
I think the debate was nice. Both of you guys show very, very nice skill set. But in terms of the content, I think that it lacks of some analogy. It lacks of something to, to help illustrate for what you are saying in here. So I would love to hear some examples, some analogies like that in the next turns. Regarding the rebuttals today, I see that Jang improved a lot. Like she tried to explain a lot of problem that was happening in the previous round. And I think that some of your rebuttals actually work, especially when you talk about how the oppositions are actually going to just creating more conflict, and your side is actually going to, like reduce the conflict and everything like that. I think it's a very nice idea. But in terms of explaining the arguments, I think even though the impact was very, very nicely done, the reasoning that you step up, you're preparing for that impact was actually not, it's a little bit shaky for me, but I would not say immediately like where or how, because it would be unfair for your team as well. Now for Hui, I think that your speech today is nice. I love the rebuttal, especially when you talk about, like how you're going to, evaluate the women is not going to be, like having the chance to evaluate on different, areas, but only, they have to, everybody have to achieve for one single goal. I think that part is golden, but you stop from there. I didn't see a little bit push in there to make that into one very strong extension, because if I were you, I would do much more more than that. Comparing the argument, I must say that the argument of the prop side is slightly stronger in terms of the impact, but for the op side, I think the reasoning that you put in there was persuasive for me. So it was actually a tough call on a very, very small margin. My points would go to the team that is right now raising a question that I think have not been answered by the other team, which is the question of why we have to do this particular thing. And I think this is the opposition side. I'm still giving my 10 points to them.
All right, this is getting interesting. Now it is 30-30. We are tied. I like to see this. This is an action-packed debate right now. Chang Oi.
Yes.
You didn't get all 30 points, but you were able to tie the debate. How are you feeling?
I really want 30 points, so maybe I'll just like try harder in the reply speech.
Well, I hope you do try harder, because we want you guys to do the best you possibly can. But it's tied, so you're not losing. All right. Wait, oi.
Yes.
You got 10 points. Now you guys are tied. What are your thoughts?
I believe in my teammate. I think he can get the points.
And contestants, thank you so much. Please return back to your seats. Thank you. Currently, right now, the teams are tied with 30 points for Chocochips and 30 points for THX. This is getting interesting. We have the third round right after the break.
So, what the rights of choice feminism done in society just to distance women from the collective because of the narrative that whatever they're doing is their choice.
If we force them to follow by one trend, it is going against, even against the initial purpose of the feminism.
I want to start to see at a greater level how is this actually impacting not just this group of people, but a large group of people.
Welcome back to the third round of the debaters. Currently, we are tied with 30 and 30. This round is extremely important before we go to the final reply speech. Without further ado, let me please welcome the contestants. To my right, from the proposition team, Team Chocochips, please welcome Lei An Khan. To my left, from the opposition team, Team THX, please welcome Dam Min Khoi. Okay, you guys, it's tied. Are you feeling nervous right now? Khan Oa, you feeling nervous?
Yes, of course, because in front of me is the brilliant debater.
Yeah, I learned that last debate, he's a very accomplished debater. But how I saw your performance last time, I think you're also extremely excellent. So it's going to be a good match. So don't be that nervous.
Okay.
Khan, it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. Khoi.
Yeah.
Are you as nervous as Khan?
I'm all right, because we used to be ex-teammates, so I know him in and out.
Really?
Yeah.
Yes.
Why didn't you tell me this?
Oh, you don't ask.
You could, please share more information with me. I didn't know you guys are ex-teammates.
Yes.
So this is a good history then between you two.
Yeah.
I'm really, really excited because this debate so far has been probably one of the better debates on the debate show. So you guys, the third round, you have 4 minutes to deliver your speech. POI is entirely open. Do you guys understand?
Yep.
Awesome. Khan, from the proposition team, you are going first.
Okay.
All right, let the debate begin.
In the safe zone, feed your baby with milk doesn't bring true happiness. True happiness only comes from when we fight for the underprivileged women in this society, and when we can protect the righteous free will of the women in society. It's gonna be the winner today. So before I come to the main clashes in this debate, I will answer two burdens that the opposition side have given to the proposition. First of all, they say that by the second wave in the proposition, we will bring the oppression towards the underprivileged women in society. I will answer it's wrong. Why? Because first of all, in the society has already exists a narrative that the women, they cannot be better in the society. Because why? They cannot be better as men. They don't have enough
ability to follow the man's passion, to follow their own passion in the conservative country. Therefore, they only stay at home and become a household and houseworker. They only the simple jobs as anyone can do. So second of all, they give me a burden that in our society, they will have a more understandable look. Why is answer so only for the high class women, which is not an essential material in this debate. Because why? Because only they can pursue the higher position in conservative country. And this question is only be answered because in the underprivileged women in society. And that's why these are the main stakeholders we need to be considered in this debate. So I will be moving into the main questions. First of all, which side has the rightest free will of the underprivileged women? Second, whether the choice feminism is beneficial for women. And third of all, is the benefits of feminism. So I will answer the first question, which is which side has the rightest free will of underprivileged feminism. First of all, why the choice to engage? No, why the choice to engage in sex work is valid. It becomes problematic when the overwhelming discourse states that sex work is a valid choice. Why some women, they did have a choice in pursuing sex work. A lot of women are forced into the sex industry because of the lack of alternatives. They are poor, unable to go to school, and pressure themselves to and they have to pressure themselves to earn money. Therefore, sex work is their only choice. With this, choice feminism doesn't fulfill the idea of empowerment through the freedom of choice. What this simply means, because there are 100 women who say, this is my choice, I'm empowered by this choice, we are unable to hear that the qualms of maybe one or two women who might be saying that they didn't have a choice, they were forced in doing so. So right from the beginning, this is not their choice because they only follow the standard in the society, which means they don't come up and give them enough encouragement to follow the righteous choice. You just give them the really vague one. Second of all, another example would be the idea of cosmetic surgery and makeup. The right of choice in feminism tells us that women should use makeup because they believe into be empowered. However, women are unable to recognize that using makeup is the product of the patriarchal society that continuously masks the idea of beauty standard. This has led to the things like shaming which women, they don't have an ability to follow that kind of standard. They will be pressurized and oppressed in this society. And only when you answer the problem, where you answer that, you somehow when women, they follow this kind of standard, it will change the prejudice in society. Unless you can answer that question, you have to follow the proposition side. So propositions have to take this place in this argumentation. Second of all, whether the choice of feminism is beneficial for women, right? We understand that from right from the beginning of this debate, the choices of women are not be considered to be important because they have to follow in conservative country and the third world. And to answer this question, the policy has already taken the place. Happy to propose.
Judges, take a step back at this debate and look at it strategically. First question, even if the choices that made within choice feminism is coercion as side proposition raised, so what? Side opposition brought to you a case that brought to you the idea that the ideological purity of the feminist movement as it is bad, right? So are you going to tell these women who are being forced into prostitution, forced into pornography, that their choice is not valid, that the fact that the women within the feminist movement is not going to value what they're going to do and simply put on another layer of oppression on them? Secondly, there is a clear contradiction within the case of side proposition, because the reason why we said this isn't really coercion, because if it is true that women are forced on their side of the house, then why is it the case that they are advocating for the fact that they need to do more than what they can, right? Because if they were forced into things such as prostitution, then they surely would have wanted to do more things to be a CEO if they had wanted to. In these cases, we believe that this is a severe negligence on the ability and on the circumstances of these poor women. Furthermore, they have an incredibly Eurocentric view and approach to this debate. Individualism, right, because individualism is the reason why in the Western countries as it is, feminism no longer exists. The fact that feminism traditionally currently exists alongside
the choice feminism as it is means that individualism is a factor that is killing feminism in Western developed countries. It is the kind of fanatical ideological fanaticism that the feminism movement is currently pushing in these sort of countries. Is the reason why conservative forces such as President Donald Trump could push the idea that feminism is so radical and should not be worked with, not the individualism in of itself. So stepping into the rebuttals of their case, from the first speech, they raised the idea of how trying to advocate for works and choices that are bad choices like sex work is bad, right? But even if you are not pushing, say, choice feminism, right? What are you going to tell these sort of women who are backed into a corner? What are they going to be doing, right? Because even if you're supporting second wave feminism, you're not going to get these women any more income. You're not going to remove these women from the bottom of the society if from their current position they don't want to be a prostitute, but they do not have the ability to rise above their station, right? And this is exactly the reason why second wave feminism isn't the current status of feminism, right? Because women adopt the new, more fanatical feminism in a response to the kind of negligence that side proposition demonstrate, right? Because the kind of choice feminism we provides discourse within the feminism movement. It provides the feminism movement with more of a perspective to consider the position of these sort of women and to improve themselves. Secondly, there is a point of, say, shaming women who don't make up because we conform to patriarchal society. But this is against the very notion of what we're standing for, right? Because we're talking about choice feminism. These women respect each other's choice and say that every single choice of theirs is a feminist. We do not believe that they will shame other women when they choose not to make up. This is simply just strawmanning our case. Furthermore, they raise the point of how there will be less women caring about politics, individualist mindset without coherence within the feminist society. But this is fundamentally not true. Because even within the feminist movement, right, even if they are very much a choice feminist, for example, they're still pro-choice, right? They're still pro the kind of things that, like, we respect the kind of choice that other women make, which means that even if they are slacktivists, we believe that they will still participate in the feminist movement in some ways, because they still kind of respect the choice that other women make, which means that from the first start, they're already an ally of the feminist movement, which already helps compared to the status quo, where they simply are not engaged within the feminist movement as a whole, because the feminist movement decry them as being slacktivists, as not helping the movement enough. Furthermore, we provide you with the kind of moderacy that will help moderates to enter the movement, because this way we accept the women and all the values regardless of what, instead of the kind of fanaticism that not only provide ample munition for conservative men and conservative politicians, but also disenfranchises the kind of women who were already traditional in their own mindset. So proud to oppose.
This is heating up. I have some questions for you, though, afterwards as well. I want to ask the judges first. I'm extremely curious to hear what they have to say, and then I will be going to you guys in a second. Judges, Hugh, let's start with you. You've been very impressed so far. So this is the third round.
This is the really, really good match. And I still don't know which team the 10 point goes to. So now with the proposition team, I want to focus more on the clash resolution rather than the rebuttals, because I think the rebuttal is a little bit lacking for me. Now the reason why I want to focus on the clash is because you actually do quite well on the first one when you focus on the free will of women in conservative society in third world countries. And I think you are very smart and focus on the word narratives, because I think all of these choices eventually will lead to a narratives. And the narrative can be used as a strong cause, but it can also be abused or exploited for a worse direction, right? But you run out of time for the second idea, which is when I go to the society level, from collectivism to individualism. That is where I want to see more, because I think like that is such a strong argument of the second debater. And if you push that boundary, it's going to be a great ending to an already good debate, right? Now, the opposition team, I appreciate the fact that you come in, and with the first and the second debaters, you guys are still lacking in terms of like pushing the boundary of the arguments towards society level, and there's a lot of arguments of the previous team, of the other team that you guys haven't addressed. I think you spend time rebutting a lot of the ideas from free choice to coercion to even like collectivism switch to individualism. So I appreciate that. I think in this round, I have to give it to a team that actually taking the third round into further and further extensions. And that's why my 10 point go to the opposition team in this round.
Okay. All right, thank you, Hugh. Stuart.
Yeah, I think this is probably the best round I've seen so far in the debaters, to be honest with you.
The whole show?
The whole show
Wow.
up to date. I think this has been my favourite round. For the proposition sides, you came in and you developed those ideas from your previous rounds really, really well. For me, actually, I know I mentioned at the start a lot of what I wanted the teams to focus on was their timing. I think you actually managed to do that fantastically. You managed to include your rebuttals, but you also managed to kind of develop and strengthen your points. And for me, it didn't feel that rushed towards the ends. I know there's still a bit of room to kind of utilize in your reply speech, but I think actually your timing for your round was fantastic. For the opposition side, for me, the strength was really in the points that you developed. And I think actually it's something that may not have been fully addressed by the other side is that, well, why can't there be a coexistence of choice feminism and traditional feminism? And I think you guys pushed that idea quite well. And also, you know, why should there be an added layer of burden from a feminist movement onto a new form of feminism, whilst there's already this kind of layer of pressure from other external forces as well? So for me, it's difficult. But I think in terms of the strength of the points themselves, I will go for Minh Khôi with the opposition side.
Okay. All right. Oi.
I think that it is clear that Khôi did an amazing job. For the rebuttals part, I must say that there is basically nothing else to add on. Like your rebuttals was so on point, nice priority of the ideas, and how you basically tackle every single thing, even the smallest detail. And I must say that if I were there, I must say that I might not be able to do as well as you, but when I look back at the whole case in here, there were some ideas that I cannot fully credit for them because they look quite new to me, especially about the allying idea and how you lift everything up to individualism in the society level. I know that those are great ideas, and I know that there are some judges that can consider crediting for them, but I cannot fully credit for everything you say. So when I look back of the case of both teams, I see that there is still some light for the proposition side that I think the opposition side have not put out completely. For the prop side, I do believe that you did a great job today, because comparing between the case, I think that the case of the prop side is more probably, you know, like planned out. It was easier to follow than the case of the op side. I must say that in this turn, I'm not going to judge based on individual performance. I'm going to give one more chance for the proposition side, because honestly, the op side has not won in this debate completely. So I'm going to give my 10 points to the prop side in this debate today.
All right. This is a very interesting turn of events. But Khan, I want to start with you.
Okay.
Please correct me if I'm wrong, but when you started your speech, you made a little joke about their team name. Is that correct?
A little bit.
That was a joke, right?
Just a good joke because they are my friend. They're all my friends.
No, I thought it was awesome. I'm sitting back there laughing.
Oh, thank you.
Because I'm looking at his face, and I'm like, Khoi's like... and I'm like, okay, that was great. So high five to that.
Yeah,
that was awesome.
That's true happiness.
Yes, yes, literally. So I love that. I absolutely love that. So I'm going to walk over to here, Khoi. So is this relationship of yours going to change? Because he was making fun of your team name early on in his speech.
I think it was fine, because our second speaker, we also kind of made light of our name when he said kind of like, to have true happiness, women need to have their own choice. So
okay.
Yeah, I think it was like a back and forth on that name.
Yeah, because when he said that, like your face, it was priceless. I hope they caught that on camera, because it was so good. Thank you so much. Please go back to your seats. Thank you. So currently, right now, we just finished the third debate. Team Chocochips has 40 points. Team THX has 50 points. There's still 15 more points to give from the judges in the final reply speech. However, we'll get back to you right after the break.
Women are unable to recognize that using makeup is the product of the patriarchal society that continuously masks the idea of beauty standard.
But even if you are not pushing, say, choice feminism, right? What are you going to tell these sort of women who are backed into a corner? What are they going to be doing, right?
So now, with the proposition team, I want to focus more on the clash resolution rather than the rebuttals.
Welcome back to the Debaters Season 2. This is the quarterfinals and the final reply speech. There is a 10-point difference left, and the judges have 15 more points to give. And this final reply speech is quite interesting because, one, it's the quarterfinals, and two, it's also a battle of the British accents. Yes, let me please welcome the contestants to the final reply speech. From the proposition team, please welcome Nguyễn Điếu Trang. Okay. From the opposition team, please welcome Đỗ Lê Hàn Minh. But Jang,
Yes.
you are down 10 points. How are you feeling?
Yeah, I can feel a lot of pressure in my shoulder right now. But yeah,
Because
I'm gonna try my best.
all the judges need to win. So all the judges right here need to give you the 5 points in order for your team to win.
Yes. It's so hard. Especially in front of me, who I consider to be really, really smart.
Yes, I actually would consider all of you to be very, very smart contestants. So Min, I think in the first round, you won 20 points, correct? Do you think you can win just one judge? That's all you need. You just need one judge.
How about 3?
Ooh, Jang Oi, did you hear that?
Yes.
The confidence is radiating. So you're going to try to win all 3 judges.
Of course.
I love this. This is getting good. Jang, is your confidence kind of going down a little bit at the moment?
No, actually, I believe in my voice and my accent too.
Ooh, okay. Speaking of accents. All right, Jang, Min.
Yes.
Final reply speech. You have 2 minutes to deliver your speech, and POI is not open. Do you guys understand? Proposition team, you are going second to opposition team. Min, you are going first. Are you guys ready?
Yes.
Awesome. I am very excited. Let the debate begin.
But if all women were as strong as the proposition assumes them to be, what then is the point of campaigning for women's rights in your case? You have provided us with no sort of mechanism, no sort of system. Therefore, your impact on your case arguments are also applicable to your own side. So therefore, we think that in terms of their own case throughout this debate, we've seen nothing that separates them from our own world. We've only seen them criticizing the rise of choice feminism, why it's damaging to women themselves and damaging to the movement. However, we do not see how that stands out from our world, where we also maintain your own traditional feminism. However, when we take into account choice feminism as well, we're also benefiting women from developing countries, the people who you seem to be forgetting so much throughout this debate. Your worldview is sort of like a very Eurocentric view where you do not take into account and you assume that every woman is as strong as you can think them to be, you can think of them to be. When they try to do what conservative people think is obscene, it stands against them, as we already demonstrated with our third and second speaker. It creates a sort of animosity against the movement. You're only trying to tell us that you are damaging it further because you're trying to make sure that these people are being pushed as far as possible, pushed as radically as possible. Your case, well, in comparison to our case, when we present with a conservative people the view that when a husband moves into a marriage and when the wife chooses to be housewife instead of him forcing it on that woman, isn't that enough of a woman's liberation? Isn't that enough of a push towards gradually achieving the woman's liberation instead of when on your side you're creating no sort of benefit, you're creating no sort of distinction, and that's why on our side we were the victor today.
So let me compare what we've done today. In terms of individual, we all agree that we have to focus on the women who are underprivileged, who have a lot of pressure on their shoulder. So they said that they will let the women choose what they want, and that's the free will. However, we have successfully proved that it is not necessary their free will and their free wants, their truly demand, which can lead to their true happiness. But because they are underprivileged, they will choose what is easy, and they can excuse it's my way, and they can accept the background, and they will compromise it. So we believe that once you still let them choose what they want, you will let them choose, you still let the bad choices to be in your cases. So in our case, we don't let them choose the bad choices. So that we believe we are the one who can truly bring the true happiness to women, who can let them to the higher position in the society. So in terms of society, we all agree that we are here today for the society to fight against the prejudice in the society. And this is strong, we all know that, because here we are, in the third world countries, the prejudice is strong. So that diversity and liberty cannot really fight that. We really have, we do really need the collective here to fight those strong prejudice. And we are the one who have all the women to fight one way, to fight one prejudice, and to win that prejudice. We have all the women together to win that prejudice. So we are here today, proud to propose.
We're done.
Yes.
We're officially done. No more debating. Jang, you happy?
Yes.
Min, happy?
Quite.
Quite happy? Okay, so you know you got all the judges. No, not yet. I will know before you guys. But thank you so much, both of you. In this round, we do not hear from the judges. So this is a silent round. So contestants, thank you so much, and please return back to your seats. We just finished the final reply speech with 40 points on the proposition team. Team Chocochips, Team THX has 50 points. We will find out the results after the break. Welcome back to the final results of tonight's debates. Teams, I think the judges have also agreed that this was one of the best debates so far. The first 5 points. 45 points to proposition team, Team Chocochips. The next 10 points. Is it Team Chocochips or THX? The winner of tonight's debate in the quarterfinals with a total of 60 points goes to the opposition team, Team THX. So congratulations, you guys. And again, don't worry, because there's still a chance to move to the semifinals. And tonight, the judges were thrilled with all of your performances, which is something that is you should be happy about, because that's probably a good indication that you might be moving on. So for you guys, thank you so much for watching. I also want to give a big shout out to our sponsor, British University Vietnam. So thank you so much. And as always, make sure to have a great night. Take care. We'll see you later with another episode on The Debaters.